The 2nd century BC. Numerous trade caravans filled the expanses between East Asia and the Mediterranean Sea. The era of the Great Silk Road began. This was an era when the states located along the ancient route of distribution of goods, knowledge, cultures, and people started to flourish. The second decade of the 21st century, the modern world turns to the past. Asia and Europe are on the threshold of the birth of a new intercontinental highway. Railways, highways, transportation roads, logistics, and innovation infrastructure. Welcome to the new Silk Road.
Преодолев не 1000 километров из Поднебесной, железнодорожным, автомобильным транспортом через огромную территорию Казахстана, через порт Kuryk.
Overcoming more than 1,000 kilometers from China through the vast territory of Kazakhstan on railroads, highways, through the port Kuryk, cargo arrives here, to Azerbaijan. The new Baku port is located 70 kilometers south of Baku, at the intersection of the transport corridor that connects the countries we traveled through with Turkey, Iran, India, Russia, and Western Europe. The new Baku port today is not only part of the new infrastructure. In the short term, it will become a developed free trade zone with a preferential tax regime and with the production of value-added goods. The new Baku port is designed to handle 15 million tons of cargo. All this makes the new infrastructure hub the most important link on the new Silk Road.
Все это делает инфраструктурный хаб важнейшим звеном нового шелкового пути.
Like Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan attaches great importance to the development of transport and logistics potential. To encourage the increase of transit flows, the construction of a new port near the capital of this Caspian state, which would specialize in ferries, started in 2011. The location was selected for a good reason. The Aliat port, which is part of the Karadagh district of Baku, was officially opened this year. It stands at the intersection of important automobile and railway roads. And the proximity to the sea, which is part of the new Silk Road, turns the harbor into a powerful international transport hub with wide potential for export opportunities. We knew and believe that after oil, the greatest wealth of our countries will be precisely the logistics, transport, and trade relations that we will develop with different continents. And these are large continents. From one side it is Europe, from the other it's China and Asia. Therefore, the most important thing is to connect these continents and create added value in the middle. It connects continents and foreign markets of Aliat, and it benefits Kazakhstan too. The Azerbaijan harbor is not only a trading partner, but also a twin port for the Mangistau's Kuryk. This implies a single movement towards progress and the unification of all technological processes in the common logistical and information space connecting Asia with Europe and the Middle East. In fact, the Aliat hub is another infrastructure point of the new Silk Road. The emphasis is placed on the reception of dry cargo and ferries with railway container ships and trucks. Here, the goods are processed and shipped to the final recipients. Close and operational interaction has already been established. For example, in 2015, 1,500 trucks were transported from Kazakhstan to Azerbaijan. Last year, the volume of ferry transportation of trucks has already reached 10,000 units. Experts believe this is not the limit.
От нового Бакинского порта берет свое начало
The most important strategic railway section, Baku-Tbilisi Kars, originates from the Baku port. It connects the Caspian region and the Black Sea and ensures unimpeded flow of goods to Europe in just a few days. Thus, having arrived from Kazakhstan to the port of Aliat, cargoes are transported to Georgia. For this purpose, the recently launched Baku-Tbilisi Kars Railway is used. This important part of the global Silk Road ends in Turkey, and from there, the goods go straight to the final destinations. to the European markets. The benefits are obvious. If earlier the cargo transportation from China, for example to the UK, including the sea route, took more than 45 days, then along the above-mentioned route, it will take only 12 days. To make sure that everything is working properly, I personally traveled from Kars to Anaklia by train, looked at all this railway infrastructure, how it was built, and what kind of possibilities it offers. The route is working, we traveled on the appropriate trains, and now we are forming trains in this direction. It is well known that Aliat is located at the intersection of three main land routes. Therefore, the goods delivered here by sea are redirected either to the northwestern line to Russia or to the south to Turkmenistan and Iran, or take direction to the west to Georgia, to Batumi, or to the shores of the Black Sea, Turkey, and further to Europe.
Мы находимся на Черном море, в городе Батуми.
We are located on the Black Sea, in Batumi. Batumi Sea Port will celebrate its 140th anniversary this year. For 10 years now, the port has been managed by the Kazakh national company, KazTransOil. Today, the Batumi Sea Port has 5 terminals, 11 berths, and is capable of handling up to 18 million tons of cargo per year. The Batumi Sea Port is the most important link of the Trans-Caspian international transport route, which provides unimpeded freight logistics to the markets of Turkey and Western Europe.
На рынок Турции и стран Западной Европы.
The acquisition of a key transport and logistics hub for the new Silk Road by Kazakhstan was an important part of the implementation of the National Infrastructure Development Program, Norlizhol. We are talking about the diversification of maritime routes. Over the last 10 years, Batumi for Kazakhstan has been an outlet to the Black and Mediterranean seas over the last 10 years, an instrument for developing its export potential. And with the beginning of the implementation of the Chinese initiative, the Black Sea Port received an additional opportunity for economic growth. The harbor annually processes hundreds of thousands of tons of petroleum products and dry cargo, thousands of containers, and hundreds of ferries following the states located on the axis of the transcontinental transport route. There's everything available for cargo handling. Different types of modernization are constantly being implemented. We constantly update our facilities for the large volumes of cargo. If any new cargo appears, then we buy a new equipment accordingly. The port is modern. It can facilitate everything. It does everything. There are no problems. The port of Batumi is a city-forming enterprise. The harbor also serves numerous tourists. Now about 700 people work at the port. The same number of employees are occupied at the oil terminal accepting Kazakhstan's raw materials. There are other ports, except for Batumi, along the Black Sea coast of Georgia. The port of Poti is also fully functional. However, Batumi wins in many ways, including in terms of the availability of the harbor for all types of ships, even for the very large ones, a payload of up to 50,000 tons. But in the future, Batumi most likely will have to make a room for another port. 140 kilometers away from Batumi, Georgia is building another maritime harbor, the port of Anaklia. According to the leadership of this Transcaucasian republic, will become a modern transport and logistics hub. Its capacity will allow to meet the needs of the Trans-Caspian international transport route, its own interests, as well as the needs of the new Silk Road.
Мы думаем, что это очень важный проект, который будет...
We think that this is a very important project that will connect China and Europe and vice versa. It will invite flows of interesting cargoes from Europe to China through our corridor. In this regard, we also view our Anaklia port and position it as one of the participants in this new project. Another competitive advantage of Georgia is membership in the free trade zone with both the European Union and China. Therefore, the creation of a special economic zone in Anaklia is a logical step towards creating a system for building harmonious trade relations with the East and the West. According to the leadership of the new port, more than 200 foreign companies have already expressed their desire to need their capacities in the future special economic zone. For an additional incentive for investors, it will operate according to English law, just like the Astana International Financial Center. Appropriate changes are made to the current constitution. Now the port of Anaklia is only being built. Its construction is divided into 9 phases and is designed for 50 years. In 2021, the end of Phase 1, the Phase 1 is expected to be completed by 2021. It is well known that the Chinese initiative One Belt, One Road has an umbrella design. The project includes about 900 various infrastructure sub-projects covering more than 60 countries of the world. Therefore, the project has many transport branches, but there are 6 main routes connecting Asia, Europe, and the Middle East. The final point is the largest transport and logistics hub, the German Duisburg. We will get into it by another route of the New Silk Road, one of the land routes, which also passes through the territory of Kazakhstan. Having started in Kyrgyz, the cargo leaves the borders of our republic in the West Kazakhstan region. Then we cross Russia, Belarus, Poland, and arrive on the territory of the Federal Republic of Germany.
Итак, мы находимся на финальной точке нашего маршрута.
So, we are at the final point of our route. In one of the oldest and largest ports in continental Europe, dry port of Duisburg. This terminal receives about 90 container trains on a weekly basis, and 1/3 of them falls on the New Silk Road. In the future, when all links of the revived Silk Road will work in its full capacity, this volume has every chance for a rapid growth. Today's practice is in favor of such forecasts. Already today, the number of rail or road trip from Asia to Europe or from Europe to the countries of Asia is increasing. On average, a railway container ship travels the distance from China to Duisburg in 10-15 days.
During our activities for the new Silk Route, which the very first train arrived in Duisburg in 2011, those trains pass a lot of countries on the Eurasia section, starting in China and then going via Kazakhstan to the European soil. And one of the biggest players on the Kazakh market is definitely KTZ Express. Those guys from KTZ Express, they, for example, invented the special container type right behind me. This is a special container.
The convenient location on a large river trunk, the presence of a modern dry port in the development of the rest of the infrastructure allow Duisburg to position itself as one of the world's largest and most developed transport and logistics hubs, with an advanced level of digitalization of all processes. That has a positive effect on the quality and efficiency of loading and unloading and sorting operations. Moreover, 4 years ago, the port of Duisburg completed a large-scale technical renewal of the park. Now the river and land harbor can receive and process freight trains of any type, configuration, and capacity.
The main advantage for DIT compared to other terminals in this China Rail activity is our size and our location. Our clients, the Chinese rail operators, need to have a flexible train handling service, which we fulfill by having 6 rail tracks, and each track is 700 meters long, which means we can handle 6 of the longest trains possible at the very same time. The other thing which makes this place, DIT is located in Duisburg, very good for this business is, you can see in the map behind me, our area here is one of the most crowded areas in Germany and also Europe. You see in this radius behind me on the map, you can see that there are 30 million consumers live in this area, which is a good consumer market on the one hand, but there are also a huge number of companies which have their base here. Some of them are import and export companies, so you have lots of trade beside the consumer market.
Now, Chinese chemicals, tomato paste, electronics, and textiles are on the list of the main imported products. China, as well as part of Kazakhstan, receives food, furniture, and appliances for various purposes. Thus, with the development of the initiative One Belt, One Road, the revival of the Silk Road, economic ties between Asia and Europe became more active. Kazakhstan far-sightedly synchronized the Celestial Program and the Norlijol Program, set up the infrastructure and logistics quickly and on time, managed to take advantage of a new and effective instrument for long-term economic growth. The first step has been taken, but new challenges have appeared on the horizon. The future solutions will determine the ambitious prospect for turning Kazakhstan into a key player on a global scale in international transit, transport, and trade relations.
Хотим максимально быть задействованы в тех транспортных потоках, которые формируются.
We want to be as involved as possible in those traffic flows that are forming around Kazakhstan. We want to be competitive. We want Kazakhstan to be the main transit state for transporting goods, for example, from China to Europe, from Europe to Asia. We can do it. And here are the results of the Norlizhol program. The first 4 years show that all these goals are achievable, and our infrastructure corresponds to the required level.